hitting. Hi, we're so excited. Thank you for joining us tonight. Carol Bass is with me in Nashville. Hey, Carol.
Hey.
So everybody's popping in. We'd like to start our complimentary webinars. These last Tuesday webinars have been going on a long time. We love them. We love doing them. At the Decorating and Staging Academy, we're all about education. These will sit there so you can listen to them again and again. But tonight we are talking about the Goldilocks approach to business and what is just right for you. And I even love our graphics because it says a lot of you on here. I've seen some of your names. You might focus on color alone, decorating, staging, or a combination of all of them. So we're going to talk about, though, how to really think about this Goldilocks approach and make it so that it helps you, think about things in a new light, your business. And hey, we're starting off a new year, and it's good to kind of have that review or that kind of moment where you do ask yourself your questions. So the first thing that we need to think about when we're thinking about the Goldilocks approach, I mean, let's face it, to anything, is what you got to have a clue of what works for you, what's comfortable for you, in the sense of the Goldilocks moment. But what works for you? What do you want to accomplish? And that translates to your goals. So as Carol knows, and some of you do, that one of my first goal, I had a ingrained clue.
She had a phobia.
I really did, because we had left corporate America and I started this business, and we didn't have that corporate comfort zone of paying our medical and some of those other perks. So because of that, I had a clue that I wanted to really make sure I made $667 plus a month for that. I also knew that I wanted to pay myself back. I wanted to make sure I knew my stuff. And at the time, I really felt I would be more redesign and decorating, and I didn't think it would be staging so much. But I felt like I need to know, because it was my comfort zone, to have everything that I needed to know. I never wanted to embarrass myself. That's a given my whole life. I don't care if it was business related. If I could avoid being embarrassed, I wanted to. Sometimes we have to laugh at ourselves in business. And I knew that no matter what service that I offered, that I wanted to be very ethical. Ethical in every part of my life. And I got to tell you, I wanted to make money. This was not a hobby for me.
I was going to say, you just hit mine.
So
I wanted to make money.
Yeah, so I wanted to make money. But what I didn't realize at the time was that I was going to have to restart my business 4 times. If I had a clue about that, I think I would have probably been paralyzed with how I was going to, handle that. The other thing, if somebody had told me that, oh, Sandra, you're going to have to stand up and speak at a conference, I would have said, I would have probably not got out of bed. And I'm so sorry, we got a little dog barking in the back. So Carol, while we handled that, you want to tell them about your clues?
Right. And well, my clue was, first of all, let's just make money. Okay. And, but my goals were, I definitely, I love to speak, but being an author of a book or any kind of a guides or anything like that, and a networker, it's so funny, that, and Sandra and I've gotten it the last 4 years, it's top 100 staging influencers. It's yeah, well, if you could see my first time ever dealing with Facebook, it's hello. I'd get something from Holly or something, and then it'd be there, and then it'd be gone, and it'd be Holly, are you in there? So, but my goals, I just can't believe how much we have stretched and grown from where we started 20 years ago. And I've restarted my business several times. And so, but you have to know, I just wanted to be the very best I could be at what I was doing, and was thrilled with my newfound career.
And Carol, will you just check? I think there was a hand raised. Um,
Okay.
so while you check that, I will. So also what's really important in this Goldilocks approach to your business is it is you are the Goldilocks in this case, and you need to be true to you. Um, I've had people like, you put your hands up like at this chicky poo in the photo here. I don't want to write a long business plan. You know what? If you're not going for a loan, you don't have to write one of those complicated business plans. Listen, I was a business major and somebody said, "Do you have a business plan?" I said, "Yes, I plan to make money." I mean, that was it. It was that big. So if you don't want to offer seasonal decorating, then you don't. One of the first things that I did is I did a home and patio show. And as I'm driving home, I'm thinking, I offered 3 services: redesign, decorating, and staging. And again, I thought I was really going to focus on 2. And everybody besides me had these, long lists. They would have done anything. They would have watched your children. They would have mowed your yard. But to be true, I didn't want to offer seasonal decorating. So that's where I want you to really think about. Please don't be influenced by what some of your peers are doing. If you don't want to inventory furniture, Carol and I don't want that right now in our lives. So we don't, but we still stage homes. You fill in the blank, whatever you don't want to do. If you've been having any color consultations, there were times that you would hear people say, "Oh, don't describe color as like dirty or muddy or moody or whatever." There are times that's a really good way to explain it. And if that works for you, then your clients are probably more than likely going to understand that because of the way you're presenting it. Um, Also be really careful, if we are change, we like trends, we all like to do, interesting, creative things. But if your client doesn't, then be true. You need to be real honest with yourself that you can't push that on your client. And then what motivates you and what hinders you? Carol, what are some of the things that hinder you?
Well, first of all, what motivated me was I would come home every time I went to a consultation, and I would come home and it'd be like, "Honey, come here. I want to show you the pictures I took today." I could not believe how people lived their lives. It's like they didn't have homes, they had houses
Right.
where they made a cup of coffee, took a shower, and went out the door to do it all again. You know, I've been in, $1 million homes, and the only thing in the cabinets is solo cups and paper plates. I mean, it's like, this isn't a home. So, what motivated me is when I can turn a house into a home and it becomes a destination. It moves me to the point of tears that, when a room that was just a pass through suddenly becomes the room they want to be in. The children get excited and they want to eat their breakfast in there. They want to do their homework in there. I'm always amazed at how children love what we do. They love it.
And they clean up better. Have y'all noticed that when you just help decorate and make a kid or teenager's room beautiful, they keep it cleaner.
Yes.
I
Well,
love
no one likes to live in chaos. And once it starts, then your mind becomes chaotic. Everything about it becomes chaotic. But the things that hindered me is that, I took my class, I had a certification class, just like most of you have, and I went back and took my class 5 times because I wanted to be the very best I could be. If I miss, and every single time I took it, I went, "You didn't tell me that before." And she'd say, "Oh, yes, I did." And I'd say, "No, I've never heard that before." And it's amazing what you learn every time. So we let you come back and audit anytime you feel like, I just would like a shot in the arm, because it's just so invigorating to get in there and do it. So those were the things that hindered me. I was afraid I wasn't going to be enough, you know, and then, but what motivated me was turning houses into homes.
I love that. In fact, Kathy just posted that, and I love that she wanted to be the best she could be. I think uh, everybody on this call, we didn't go in here going, let's be average, you know. Let's be. So yeah, so one thing that I will say, when you're trying to find your Goldilocks, this feels just right. There are things that, like we just said, will hinder you. So whatever hinders you, if you can hire out that task, then you do it. What was starting to hinder me in the beginning is I felt like I got out of balance with my family. It was like, my gosh, I can't even go to the grocery store for trying to, make a dollar, and trying to make sure everybody was so happy, and having this love affair with me, kind of thing. So what I did is I did hire out what I was not good at. And even though you may be new and think that you don't have the funds for that, just get out a piece of paper and go, okay, does this feel better for me to be stressed and have to eliminate some clients and lose that, whatever you're charging, 150 to whatever an hour, and I can go hire somebody for 2025. We don't need to be mathematicians to figure that there is there is some benefit for hiring out, because I do believe if you don't like something and you're not good at it, then what will happen is you will start, nothing will feel right in every other thing. Your to file pile gets bigger than your, you know, checks to get to, deposit.
Well, and then you start dreading it.
Yeah.
When you take on something that isn't part of your core genius or that you enjoy, then you start to dread it. I love redesign. I do decorating. I just finished a big decorating job today, and it's like, phew, but it's like I love to go in, weave my magic, and then boom, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I'm out of here, and they throw money at me, and it's just great, you know. But so I really did sit down and look at my business at one point and said, I don't love this part of it, taking on a client in January and still dragging them around in June, but I love redesign. But hey, I love money more. So sometimes I take on those decorating jobs.
Oh, I love this point, and I'm not sure if I'm going to say your name exactly right, but looking through MLS photos, looking through,
Oh,
those are those things like, when I did a trends presentation recently in Denver at a conference, you got to do some research, and those are those things that take time, that to be able to do that and to make sure that you put the effort in. I put this slide in here because I'm in thinking about a Goldilocks approach to our business. There are things that feel, let's say, just right for us, things that don't. I had no problem in the beginning when I started out putting some car magnets on my car. And I remember my husband said to me one day, and I would take them off on the weekends if I could remember. But thankfully, I was working a lot of weekends. He said to me one day, he goes, "Are you ever embarrassed riding around with these car magnets?" And I'm thinking, I get to go, this is before you could do mobile deposits. I get to drive through the ATM every Friday. I got over it. But that was my comfort zone. So, what I want you to think about, if there's something that is causing you to hesitate, let's say it's doing a video on Instagram or Reel or Story and Facebook and all those, what's causing you to hesitate? Is it, if things have to be perfect? Carol and I have just shown you that if we waited till we had everything buttoned up, we wouldn't do
yeah,
it.
y'all wouldn't have got to see me sideways.
So think, but I want you to ask yourself, what is causing you to hesitate to take that step of things that you need to do to build your business? And then either you get over it or you have to find a way to navigate it. So this falls into this next slide. I want you to pause and take a really good look at what your business looks like. Are you offering staging only? Are you doing this combo? Let's face it, 2020 made us all adapt with, Zoom consultation, e-design, e-staging, whatever it might be. Or how could we offer it's something else that brought us in money? Um, think about your education. Listen, we are so thrilled you're with us tonight because we all learn. Carol and I usually hang up and go, "Oh, that was a good point," or we've learned from each other, or you post something. But make sure that when you pause, have you done, just like I love that point about the MLS photos, doing that research, getting that education, and the image that you have. I mean, do your potential clients know what you do? And do you come across as being worthy of what you're asking of them? In other words, I am asking whatever $150 an hour, let's say you're asking. Does your image look like that? Let me stroke you a check, or let me Venmo you, or however you're taking your money. But so make sure it lines up. I don't need to know what book you read, what vacation you took. Yeah, we get to do a little bit of that on Instagram. But I want to know, like Carol just said, that you can make those homes fit for that client. Everybody's excited. And also make sure that you have a team mindset. Very rarely, and I can't hardly think of anybody that is in this alone. It requires your family, it requires some movers, some vendors. Carol and I bounce ideas off of each other. Do you also have the mindset that you are going to listen to your clients? So those are just pauses for you to think about when you, and again, are asking yourself what feels just right for me. Carol, do you have anything else that you want to add to
Well,
that?
I'd like to say that under the education, and how many of you would raise your hands? Have you attended a conference ever? Raise your hand. I can't see the hands, Sandra, so you have to count them for
Okay.
me.
We've got several hands up. Okay, good.
Good. Because you will come away with something. And the people that always say, well, I don't know if I want to join RESA or High Hops again, I don't know if I get anything. Well, what did you put in? Did you go to anything? Did you read any of the blogs? Did you do anything, that causes you to helps you to learn? Because every one of us work very hard to try and educate you as much as we can on as many things as we can. If you don't avail yourself of it, then, pretty soon it's like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Well, that comes back to you. You're in a chair that's too cool.
Well, you know what? I heard somebody say, who had been in business a long time, I know everything there is to know. I sat with her at a table and I'm thinking, I'm going to her website right now. And the first three photos were wrong. They like, and again, I'm not judging, but it
Just
is important, maybe a little bit, but I didn't call any names. But it also is important to pause and say, okay, I did this right, or I did this wrong. And I love this. I mean, we've got a comment right here. I'm just starting out, and I wonder if I'll ever get those homes stage ready. Yes, you will. Because listen, if you think that Carol and I didn't go to our first in some of our homes, and go, hey, well, I'm going to have to pause here and follow the system. Because in fact, I did. It was probably about 2 years ago. I called Carol and I said, this house, oh my gosh, this is a challenge. I mean, everything was going to be a challenge. The layout of the room, where the fireplace was, the furniture, everything. And you know what she said to me? Just follow the system. And it works. It really does. But I love what Kathy said here too about going to the IHOPS conference in Denver. Listen, we've been at this a long time, and it motivates me. I mean, I love hanging out with people. I love just hearing speakers. I mean, and it's an investment, but is it a write-off? Um, so that's what I want you to encourage you to keep doing, making yourself available out there. And Listen, some of them are virtual still. They're going to offer some of that coming up, even though that some of them have been virtual for the last couple of years. But get in there and just, and you know what? We are definitely here. If you want to ask us a question, look at a room, have some private coaching, a little bit more in depth, give us a call. Okay, so now let's talk about too much, too little, or just right. Some of our business decisions have that kind of taste and see opportunity. Like seasonal decorating is a good one. That's not a huge investment like our staging educations and your decorating and some of those, what I would call, you have to invest more time, energy, and money in those. But some of the add-on services are what we are good taste and see. I do encourage you, if you're going to put your toe in that water, make sure, like we have said numerous times, that you know your stuff, because the last thing you want to do is hurt your reputation by not knowing. We have said before, hey, I don't know exactly where I'm going to put this picture, but I know it's going to look great. Ask yourself, what is it going to cost you to sample that service or that idea you might have? And what is it going to cost you not to try it? I mean, the inventory was a very good example. For me to not inventory didn't really cost me anything except putting my toe in the water. I'm gonna try this out and see if anybody will buy my new idea. And trust me, everybody said that's not going to work, Sandra. It's not going to work. I wasn't sure it was going to work. Guess what? It worked, but it didn't cost me anything to try that. So
Now,
Carol said
Sandra, you're talking about what you tried is that rather than you housing inventory, you had your clients have to buy everything.
they had to buy everything. Everybody said, Sandra, that's the dumbest idea.
Nobody's going to do that, but you
Nobody's
know
gonna
what?
do it.
They did.
And in 15 years of that business model, I had two people say, I don't know if I want to do that. And I go, I totally understand. I'll be happy to recommend somebody to you. But Carol said this earlier, and I love this phrase, finding your core genius. That is your goal. But if you don't try, like Goldilocks, she's sitting in the chair, she's, laying on the bed, which one felt right? You have to have those moments of evaluating. If you're starting out, I love having one of those quiet days where I can just sit and just say, okay, what do I really want to do? Like I'm somebody's counseling me, but what I really want to do. And so we encourage you to do that. That's how you're going to come to, putting it on paper and say, okay, well, I'm going to like taste and see this option. We want you to practice saying no. Especially if you're starting out, you are like, yes, I will do it. I will teach aerial yoga. Yes, I'll do anything. I mean, I got into event planning because I said yes. I had a couple of clients that asked me to help them plan a party. Now, I liked that, so I was willing to do it. But I have to say no to that for just the general public. You have to be my client to get that add-on service. But if you don't practice saying no, before you know it, you're going to be overwhelmed. You may be, I love it, underwater basket weaving. Now, there is a skill set
There you go.
that you don't see every day. So have yourself a little script. I would say, you know what? And my clients always, Mary, let me look at my calendar. And then I'd say, I will get back with you by the end of the day. No, I really don't want to stage that to 20,000 square foot house or something. Or no, I don't want to decorate Christmas trees for anybody but my really good clients. So, practice saying no.
And it's just I don't have that, I don't have that as a part of my service. I don't do window treatments. I'll be happy to purchase the window treatments for you. I'll purchase the rods, but you'll have to install them.
Yeah.
So you'll learn to do those things unless you've got an installer and they're willing to pay, because that's not a cheap service. Most of them, it's like, oh, my husband will do that. I've got a son that can do that. So
Exactly. Or like I said, then that forces you to find some resources like Smith and Noble. They used to just offer the samples and these great fabrics and drapes. And now they will literally send the person to the house, to your client's house to measure and install. So that taste and see moment kind of thing, when they started offering those services, made that an option. So here's just what we've been talking about, like how to stay now 80 million in listings. Somebody said, "Oh my gosh, Sandra, you made 80 million in a year." No. Uh, I would
Let
wish
me
that
just
was,
clear that up.
I like to clear it up. But how to stage 80 million in listing without any inventory. So those are it is possible, although nobody said it would. That's a whole nother webinar, but that's one of those just right examples that was just right for me. So Carolyn, I want you to show your versatility, what you're capable of doing. You're just not that, as we say, that one trick pony. Um, Whatever your services are, these are the things that we want you to really keep in mind. Those honest business practices. If you're a member of IHOS or RISA, those are staging. If you're starting out, those are staging organizations and membership type organizations. And we want you, I'm going to plug in just a minute. We want you to, they all have list of ethics they want you to abide by. Multiple revenue streams or be adaptable. Staging is a great gateway into decorating, redesign, just as redesign and decorating is to staging. Gut instincts and a good eye is not always good enough if you don't know that business part of it, the marketing part of it. Solid design principles will sell every time if you're focusing on staging. I do think, in fact, Carol and I hear this all the time, don't we, Carol, about, "Oh, my friends say I'm so good at this, and that's why I wanted to start this business." That's a good prod to get you into something you may love. However, sometimes it works against you if you're like, "Well, I already know I'm good at this." That goes back to that education factor. So those are the things that don't let that, oh, good. Oops, sorry, I got ahead of myself there. I'm glad people are joining organizations because they offer so many complimentary, just like this, learning opportunities.
Well,
Um,
and on the same note there, Sandra, because you're really good at that, so many students that come to my class, everybody that comes is talented. They're all good at this. But if talent was all it took, man, everybody'd be a star. But
mhm.
you've got other things. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to be in business for yourself, you've got to have other skills to go with that talent for decorating. So if you're going to make money at this, otherwise you'll just be a hobbyist. So
It does, and it takes work ethic. I do think that's so important. Like, I mean, how many times, if you guys have been in business for more than one job, you come home and you're hot, you're sweaty, and you're tired, and you might take a Motrin, but you transformed a space and you made people happy. And so we also want you to remember that the illusion of quality is still important. Even if it is a very limited budget, it is a price point house, let's say 150 to 200,000, that quality factor is still important. We do not want it to look like that you went and, got it off the curb and painted it. We want to look like it was, you got a deal on it somewhere. It is amazing. So you need to think about quality no matter what price point and see beyond the obvious. Okay. So this was so key factor for Carol and me. Like, all economic markets needs our services, whether we had a pandemic, whether the market crashed like it did in '08. Who knows what's ahead of us, but houses are selling right now super quickly. However, if you get agents that believe in staging, they're still bringing you in. And if it's a for sale by owner, they still want that amazing looking property. So don't let that be your excuse for not making a big transformation. All price tags will also need your service. This was a $2.7 million home. This is what you saw. Now, you guys know that we focus a lot on view, square footage, architectural details. These two little wooden hand things were the first thing you saw. So there was not a whole lot of sell the house. You looked at
And this is what room, Sandra?
this is supposed to be the dining room, and they
This
have
is the dining
the dining
room.
room. And
Notice the
this,
chandelier.
mhm. I mean, we had very little money. Would I've loved to put a rug in here? But first of all, remind yourself, I'm selling the floor before I'm selling the rug, but I would have still liked the rug. But everything you see was she had it. So don't walk in and don't let yourself get hindered when you don't see a lot to work with. That's where your expertise comes in. So yeah, all styles are going to need your services. That's where it's important to feel confident no matter what style your client has, whether you're designing for the nursery or staging to sell, whatever you might do, you're there to sell whatever it is, selling to dwell or selling to make the best most money, solve problems, be that expert in. Carol, tell them a little bit about our bookcase specialist class because that was a need.
Right. I mean, what we had so many people that, and houses, I've always had bookcases somewhere in them, and the bookcase, it's a great way with what Sandra talked about earlier about being able to tip your toe in the water if you're just kind of thinking. Well, a bookcase specialist specializes in just doing bookcases, but all the same principles exist in a bookcase that exist in a room. A bookcase has to have a focal point. It has to have highs and lows. It's got to have a color that is being used in different areas. And so right there, you can tip your toe in the water by just simply becoming a bookcase specialist. And I love bookcases, but I can tell you of all when my students come, it's like, oh, I hate bookcases. It's like, because it's complicated. It can be complicated, but I love them. It's such a high creative piece because you can do all kinds of things in bookcases. So becoming an expert in just something as simple as bookcase specialist.
So you want to, and this was just a design quiz that we popped up on the Decorating and Staging Academy website. And we just said, hey, send your clients there because you don't have to house this quiz unless you wanted to. But it was a great way for you to offer another little service for them and have some a fun quiz to see their style. Make sure your website validates what you do. Make sure you're really respectful of their budget, no matter what it is. One of the forms that we use, Carol and I, we teach, and it's in the Confident Client kit, is having that what are you comfortable spending? It's that comfort zone shopping list. I have to tell you, it makes your client breathe because you care. They love the fact that you care about their budget. Giving that clarity. In fact, we had a good question about some of the other skills. Bookcase specialist is one of those. We have a Lux certification class. Luxury staging, I mean, let's face it, with the price point that we have almost in every market right now, it would be what we would have considered luxury. What is nice about these extra add-on certifications is number one, they're certified, and that you can add that to your skill set so you look like you have above and beyond education than just, let's say, decorating or staging. But there's something different in all of them. So there's Lux, there's bookcase specialists, seasonal decorating, occupied staging, e-design consultations. There's a lot of classes out there. Some are certified, some aren't, but those price points are great to boost your confidence. Also gets you on the DSA site as a certified student. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. Don't let me forget that, Carol.
Okay.
We're talking about websites. We want you to show some versatility in your website. Now, we're not big proponents of going to do free jobs, but we want you to at least show, hey, I can do some modern, I can do this. How the top right was a flip, they were two flippers. This, they were not going to stage this out. They only wanted to stage the master bedroom because it was very small looking. But once we staged it, we got the bed and everything. Literally 4 hours before they just 4 hours, they decide, oh, let's go ahead and stage the living room. Now, are we going to win an award with this? Absolutely not. Did the house sell to the very first person that saw it? Yes. So then we can show the versatility in decorating for the nursery, a whole different feel at the bottom right. So have some of those opportunities to show different feels. This is a mountain rustic home, but with some pops of color. So if somebody looks at this and this may not look like where they live, however, they will say, gosh, I love the way that she incorporated color and some unexpected elements with the artwork over the mantle. So be sure and show you. This is what this is about. I mean, you are here learning about a Goldilocks approach to your business, but it is your business. So you need to think about how you are shown, how to get the word out. So be really smart about how you do it. And this goes back to that saying yes too many times or aligning with, if you don't know somebody else's business practices, if somebody maybe has a reputation they hadn't followed through with some peers in the our industry, just see if you can do some little research, but make sure that you go into any kind of event or venture with, make some wise decisions. You want to always be approachable, community minded. Listen, you don't have to go and, be in charge of this huge community service project, but be involved in some way. That is just a great way, especially if you're starting out, to get your business known. This is a fun thing that Carol and I've done. This is a Busy Woman's Guide to Holiday Decorating. We've offered it complimentary to our communities. We also have it as like a really cheap price tag, I think, on the website. We have done for you presentations if you need them, but we want you to get out there and, get yourself noticed. The first time I spoke 45 minutes from where I lived because I was a nervous wreck and I thought if I totally bomb, nobody's nobody's going to know me. It's not going to hurt my business. But practice in front of the mirror wherever you need to. But be present. Be present on social media. Reinforce your brand. Anything and everything you do, just like I have mine in the corner. Make sure that you reinforce your brand. Be fun, approachable. If you are so uptight and so perfect, clients get nervous. They think you're going to just not respect their budget. You're not going to be relatable. One of my very first client, her son would show up beside me with his little toolbox. I think he may have been 4. And I would say, I hung that picture wrong. Ben, will you help me? And I would take the picture down, hold the nail up same place, and pray that he got that hammer in the right place. But I swear it was, I'd look over and the mother would be like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. So make sure you ask for reviews. Carol and I always start with house, because you can take a review from house and then you can put it on your website, but you can't take, if somebody emailed you a review or, oh my gosh, I love it, a testimonial, you can't just go put it on house. So that's a good place to start because you can always, take it. We hire things done. If we got really busy and you can be too, or if you're not good at it, but we know how important social media is. So we hire that out. We have somebody who thinks like us, um, who knows the industry. So because of that, she does a good job of posting things and we don't have to, go, oh no, that's not the right way to hang that picture. If you're going to do something, I did a wine and design workshop, and sometimes I'll do it for charity. Sometimes I'll do it for a group of girls. but just make it look cute.
And just make it fun.
Fun and cute. This was find somebody that we talk about kindred spirits. This was a cabbie rep, and we did a joint venture because I just did not want to just have a party and invite friends. I just really did. So we did it. It was called decorating on the inside and out. So inside your home and outside. And she did a fashion show, like outside your body kind of thing. So it was just, but make sure, this is where I do suggest you be in control. Make sure that, the table looks cute. You've thought everything out, because those are the things, even though those little brownie things right there, eyes do look a little homemade, but what?
They were probably the first thing gone.
Yeah, they were. But you know what? They were semi-homemade. That was a semi. So those are the kind of things that we want, those that are memorable when you start supporting other people's services or helping the community. It does a great job of getting your name out there. Okay, we want you to show your professionalism. Brand everything. Have a high resolution logo on your desktop for easy reference. Now, the reason Carol and I have this slide up here is because, well, Carol's better at it than I am. I would always be looking for that high resolution logo. If I want it vertical or horizontal, whatever. And I was spending so much time, I thought, what am I doing? So I put it right on the desktop. So if it's easy to reference, you're more likely to complete this task. So make sure you brand. And if you don't know what your brand is or what it looks like, you need to know those hex colors that you're using. You need to have that font that you're using. See how I have one that has some curves and one that's very straight line, but you just need to know what they are. And I have those colors over in my notes section for easy reference. Stay in your lane, please. I think I said this recently to a group, and they're like, but I have already made some posts that I probably shouldn't. I'm like, okay, take it down. Your post, and even if it's not your business page, should be a call to action. For instance, call me if you're looking to have a redesign. Call me if you're thinking about putting your home on the market. It's not how to vote, any opinion that you have, because you can guarantee that you've eliminated probably 50% of your potential clients that are thinking about calling you if you don't line up. So please, 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 on social media, make sure it's social and that it is a call to action, not an opinion. Anything you want to add on that one, Carol?
Well, I agree with that. If you're going in and say even if you found it on the internet and you put a picture up and it's like, look at the person that put this picture up. This is hysterical, aren't we? And then it's like the woman looks at it and goes, oh, looks like my room. Well, I guess I won't call her. There are ways to say things that are not offensive, and and staying in your own lane is so true, because you want to make sure that, and I think Sandra means it a little bit more than that. We also are very careful not to be political. We're very careful not to do anything that has to do with religion. There's a time and place for everything. And I can tell you, the internet is not a safe place for you to vent and do what you think you want to talk about. You can call your girlfriend on the phone. That's one thing, but not on the internet.
I know. I always told my kids, you may want to be president or be in the CIA one day, and you need to be really careful.
And once you post it, it never goes away.
Never. We have a really good question about those cross promotions and cross events. First of all, like I said, I like to be in control. Not all of them need a presentation, because you may not understand PowerPoint. In fact, I did how to do a PowerPoint presentation recently, and I will update that. for us in the next probably month or two, because there's just some easy ways to make, something like this look professional. So you don't have to have a presentation. I was in a group of Women That Wine was the name of it. And we had a 30-minute presentation. It could be everything from how to book great travel arrangements. And I did one on trans. I always say you honor your time frame and you come again, going back to that, I think first or second slide about knowing your stuff. If they can walk away with a handout. So when I did the cabbie, there was not a presentation on my part, but I had a handout. So what I did is I thought about the theme. So I had a armoire, and on the armoire around it, I had little points like have a good foundation color. I'm doing this off the top of my head, like a good sofa color in black or brown or neutral so that you can add pops of color. You don't have to have the whole animal kingdom represented in your house, because people go overboard. They got the leopard, the zebra, so they were tips. So everybody left with the handout. They got to see a great fashion show. And then at that event, we actually brought diapers for the a charity. It was Unwed Mothers Charity. So you felt good all the way around, and there wasn't a lot of pressure, because that's the other thing. I don't want anybody to feel pressure to have to buy clothes or Tupperware or anything like that. And then if you can make it fun, Carol's really good at this. Skits. If you have, depending on who you're speaking to and where you're speaking, skits make people laugh and they drive it home. Carol, tell them about the doctor of staging.
Okay. Well, Joanne and I did one called the stay or actually decorating 911 is what it was. And so I dressed in scrubs. I had the thing on my hair. I had before we had to wear a mask every single minute of every day. It was unique. And I had my clipboard, and I and Joanne was the doctor. So I would come out and I would be like, oh my gosh, doctor, we have this room that has a problem. It's dizzy. It's like it's totally dizzy. And she says, oh, I know what that is. It's your traffic pattern. Your traffic pattern in your room doesn't go. And we've been having a lot of that lately. Or,
Your pictures were hung too high.
yeah, the pictures are hung too high. Is it just vertigo? And then one was something simple like, she doesn't know whether she's, country or rock and roll. Oh, that's schizophrenia, room schizophrenia. And we had like these 50 women just eating out of our hands just by being silly, and I didn't have to worry about what I was going to say because I had simply written it down on my tablet that I'm reading. And so it made it really fun. I also like to do something called Addicted to Decorating. It's a whole day of learning, and we're tongue in cheek, you're addicted if, and to decorating if, and they take this little test. We serve lunch. It's an all day thing. It's a lot of fun. So, I mean, it's a great way to build your business.
Exactly. And I love this. And I'm sorry, I flipped out of who asked the question, but somebody has an upcoming wine and chocolate pairing. So what a great way to talk about the top 5 neutral browns and blacks, or what goes with what, like what are the best pairings in your room, like, how to have the right contrast. I mean, there's lots of way for you to then pop in your expertise about what it is and give them some color samples. Oh, we are loaded with these things. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Too hot, too cold, or just right. First of all, make sure you have priced your services right. You need to know what you're worth. Be worthy of your fee. And the way you're going to accomplish that is knowing your stuff, making sure your image out there looks like it lines up. If you have a website that has not been reviewed in a year or have somebody else look at it, for you that's going to give you an honest opinion or that knows what a good website looks like, do that. Then you are at a disservice because other people are updating theirs. Like we just talked about, be prepared to sweat, because remember, you're getting paid to sweat. When I had a student and she would come to class and she had like these 3 or 4 inch heels, and I'm like, okay, we're moving furniture. Okay, I can move them in these. I'm like, no, because we're going to damage this woman's floor. So be prepared. Look, let that homeowner know that you are there to work. We're not saying wear jeans, but we're saying there's some comfortable leggings and outfits that you can put on. Pack a survival bag. I learned a lesson early on when I had to do a last minute webinar after working in Arizona, and it was so bad. My students are trying to fan me before I went live. Um, if you're not a good writer, then you may be a good speaker or vice versa. But pick something that is going to show your personality. And we talked about branding everything. If you are not familiar, and this is where we get to knowing your stuff, please, 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 please get familiar with design principles. Even if you think, oh, I just do staging. Good, solid design principles will sell a house every time. Carol and I judge some national staging contests. It really does boil down. You can have some gorgeous furniture, but if you do not have that right scale, proportion, all of these, I'm not going to list them. Please, we've got a webinar on that, but just make sure you know what it is. Now, I put this urban bronze. This was Sherwin-Williams Color of the Year a couple years ago. And I put this in here because when it came out, I'm thinking, well, great. They picked one of these colors that we're going to get to use just a tiny little percentage. But the key was to know what the color of the year was, because people ask you, they might. Second, to know when to use it, when not to use it. And 3, to really not push it. So you may know the trend, but your job is, beside those design principles, is to know when to implement them. So just because somebody has declared it, it's not necessarily to be used by you or any of your clients. Although I did just see a gorgeous piece of furniture that was painted this, and it was really pretty. So just to give you a little insight, you need to know that those cool grays are being replaced with warm neutrals. We had an overload of gray. It was that visual overload, I call it, just like shiplap has been. There's places in the country, in the region, that they make more sense, but you need to know what colors. Here's some really good ones on the bottom that are popular right now, but just neutralizing those colors. We're kind of referring to them as mushroom colors. Be very, very knowledgeable of whites. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to show up to you because I used this recently on a stage and it did not show up right. But the picture on the left, the whites are off. So what happens is, with that stark white, which had a little bit of a blue undertone, made that wall color look dirty. It just kind of looked like it was not on point. Does that show up?
It looked old.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like, oh, well, now that everything looks good. And as soon as they paint those walls, everything will be freshened up.
Oh, and that's when your client says, oh, I just had them painted. But that's where you would say, because now you have this knowledge, Mary, tell me, did you just have this walls painted? And Mary's going to go, yes. And I don't know what it is. Well, I'm going to tell you what it is. First of all, you have got whites that are competing and they are working against each other. You're feeling like one's a little bit dirty and you feel like you need to paint it. So that's where you can have that confidence to say that to Mary. Order some big samples of whites so that you can hold them up and that you can come prepared and look like you have good samples. Okay, bottom line, when it comes to trends, trends are always evolving. Know what's happening, stay current, but this is where you get to shine by adding a twist or an unexpected application. We got overloaded with subway tile. It still looks good. However, the twist to it, or that nuance now to it, is having different finishes, having a little dimension, placing the subway tile in a different pattern. That's where you get to elevate that space. Let me just check and make sure we don't have anything I need to, okay, good. All right, so last but not least, Carol and I, because you guys have asked, we are going to let you take advantage of the certified color class is normally $259. You can use the code We
You
Love
mean
Books.
bookcase?
I mean,
You
what
said
does
color.
Oh, sorry. The certified bookcase specialist is normally $259. You get to put in We Love Books and get it for $159. You also can go and to the National Directory page on the DSA. There will be a link that says, hey, pay $99 and you can join our directory. You do not have to do that. Just fill out the form and send it to us, and Carol and I will put you in the directory. This is an example, and all these are hyperlinked on the site, which makes it really nice, gives you extra credibility. And this is an example of Allie. She's out in Michigan. So yeah, we want you to add some extra skills, learn, it reinforces. And okay, let's make sure. Okay, good. All right. Thank you for joining us there. I appreciate that. Great ideas. Okay, I know this is off topic, but when will they do? Great question, Diana. We have the entries in. Hopefully you guys have entered the contest. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can see it on the DSA page. We are going to announce those in March. And the reason is I had booked the Nurstand rug gal for next month. So really pay attention because they're coming out and it's a great way to get noticed. So any other questions you have for Carol or me? Okay. And I think that is, yep, I think that was it. Email us always, info@the-dsa.com. You can find our info everywhere, but we appreciate you joining us. And thank you so much. Anything else, Carol?
No, I enjoyed this. I hope you guys did.
I think, okay, let's make sure. I got one more hand raised. Okay. I think that's, hang on one second.
Great fun.
All right,
La, la,
Susan,
la.
Susan, did I answer your question? I think I did, but just in case. Just type me in the question and answer. Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much. And we will pop this up on either our YouTube channel or on the DSA page. All right, have a good night.
Good night.